Hi, my name is John and this is Business Focus. In today's video, we'll be talking about, having money in the world, or one would think that would answer or solve many of our problems, but that's not the case here. Even more so, a quick way to earn a lot of money or get a windfall is winning the lotto. So today's video, we'll be talking about top 5 reasons that you don't want to win the lotto. And there are many examples that illustrates that they have the same common outcome, which is, you'll have a miserable time having a lot of money all of a sudden. And here are my top 5 reasons not to win the lotto. So let's get started. So the first one here, so winning the lotto could be interesting, right? Having lots of money to buy whatever you wish, do whatever you want, than what you couldn't do before. But in many of these instances, many of the lotto winners lost all of their money, which is kind of interesting, right? That the point that of winning the lotto is to have a lot of money to sustain yourself for long periods of time. That's not the case here. Anyway, the first instant we have here is first reason is you will end up in divorce. Now, we don't have divorce here in our country, but divorce is meaning because of money, you will have an argument or to the point that you will separate from your loved one here. And in the case of Lara and Roger Griffiths, buying their dream home and then their life fell apart here. So let's take a closer look. So there you go. So they won 1.8 million pounds, but it eventually wrecked their lives, which is kind of counterintuitive if you think about it, right? So they won the lottery jackpot way back in 2005, and before before then they never argued, but because of money, they bought when they won, they bought $1 million barn, converted house, and a Porsche. Even a luxurious trips to Dubai, Monaco, and New York City. Now, the media stories say their fortune ended in 2010. So, meaning in a span of 5 years, uh, they lost all of it. When a freak fire got in their house, with which was underinsured, which is another important thing you want to have, forcing them to shell out for repairs and 7 months of temporary accommodation. And then shortly after, there were claims that Roger drove away in a Porsche after Lara confronted him over email suggesting that he was interested in another woman. And that ended their 14-year marriage, which is kind of disappointing if you think about it. Because you earn a substantial windfall, all of a sudden you don't know how to handle the money, and you don't spend it wisely, and you spend it irresponsibly. These things do happen, and in some cases even worse. One would think that divorce is already a terrible thing to happen for any couple, but there are much more worse things in our discussions here. So let's go to the second one. So the second reason that you don't want to win the lotto is you will have regret. Regret of winning the lotto, you might say. So let's take a closer look here. So in this case, we're talking about Martin and Kay Todd, who won a $5 million jackpot. But in their case, they lost the ticket, obviously. This is kind of funny, but obviously, it's good in a sense that this happened to the couple, because to begin with, you only invested how many dollars in buying the ticket. So winning it is good, but if you lost it, obviously you'll be very disappointed, because you could have done a lot of things with those money that could help you out in your current financial problems. And then all of a sudden, all hope has been squashed, since you cannot collect the money anymore. But the interesting fact here is a 7-week investigation by Camelot Group, the company that runs the UK National Lottery, convinced officials their claim to the winning ticket was legitimate. But since there is a 30-day limit on reporting lost tickets, so which they could have followed up, the company was not required to pay up, and the jackpot became the largest unclaimed amount since the lottery began way back in 1994. Well, obviously you'll be very disappointed if you lost the money, but the fact that you didn't even earn the money in the first place wouldn't be such a bad thing, because in the other instances, as we'll mention later on, you could have much severe consequences, not just losing money here. So let's continue. Third reason that you don't want to win the lotto or the lottery is uh, you could go into debt or further debt, so to speak. So again, kind of intuitive, counterintuitive that winning the lotto should get you more, give you more money, but in this case, getting that windfall, will enable you to think that you have an exorbitant amount of cash to spend and keep on spending it irresponsibly to the point that you've gone beyond your means and to the point that you'll go into debt. And this is the case of Susan Mullins, couldn't dig herself out of debt here. So where is Susan? Susan debt here. There you go. Couldn't dig herself literally and figuratively here. So Susan Mullins won a $4.2 million in Virginia way back in 1993. So she split the yearly payments 3 ways with her husband and daughter, leaving Mullins with about $47,000 of a yearly payout. She quickly found herself in debt. Her lawyer said she shelled out $1 million for uninsured son-in-law's medical bills. It's been a hard road, according to Mullins' lawyer. Michael Hart told Associated Press in way back in 2004, it's not been jet plane trips to the Bahamas. And then she used her future payouts to take out a $200,000 loan with a company that serve as a specific market, lottery winners who need their money faster. But in this case, Mullins later switched to a lump sum payout but never paid the debt. The company filed suit and won $154,000 of settlement. That was all but worthless since Mullins had no assets to begin. So you can see here there's a growing pattern here in terms of winning the lotto is not all it's crapped up to be, thinking that it will solve all your problems. In essence, it tends to create more problems than necessary here, and which is, once you think about it, it's a sort of a pitfall of a like a quicksand, in a sense that you think that the answer is in the sand, but the more that you go into that sand, you go deeper and deeper, and then you cannot get out of those situation anymore, and creates more harm than giving you solution here. Anyway, fourth reason you don't want to win the lotto here. In this case, as I mentioned, so this is a little bit more morbid, a little bit more sinister, because to the point that it resulted to a murder. So that's how bad things can get out of hand because of winning the lotto here. In this case, we're talking about E.B. Roncaioli, who was murdered no one else but by her husband, which is kind of ironic and kind of curious. So let's take a closer look on her case here. Actually, there are more sinister examples here, but I only highlighted this one of IB here, or Libby, I don't know. Okay, so Ontario resident E.B. Roncaioli walked away with a $5 million lottery win way back in 1991, but she didn't tell her husband how she decided to spend it. Again, right there and then, that gives you a red flag. Just because you won the lotto and you are in a relationship, then not telling your husband or wife, vice versa, could be a start of a very dangerous situation here. Because if you're in a relationship, if you don't trust one another, and winning the lotto, meaning they don't deserve to share it. The fact that if you're married, it's supposed to be conjugal, not just you bring what you own and you have your own separate, but that's another discussion. And though there are consequences because of those actions, and in this case, when her husband Joseph Roncaioli, a gynecologist, found her wife gave $2 million of her fortune to a secret child, so the plot thickens. She'd had with another man. So what happened later once was very sinister and deadly. He poisoned her with painkillers, according to the reports from the Toronto Star. And he was convicted of manslaughter charges and reportedly asked IB's family to help foot the bill for her funeral. Kind of weird. The fact that you had the money and now you're asking your former wife's family to foot the bill here, which is when I read this, it gave me chills, thinking that You know, it's not worth it. And obviously, you have to have that mental fortitude of, yes, having a large sum of money is ideal. That can solve a lot of things, but it doesn't solve your life in general, because it can make your life comfortable. And if you plan it properly, can set you up for the rest of your lives, not just for you, but for your loved ones, and even for your kids, or for your entire family here. And another example here of a wasted opportunity is another one here with the fifth reason you don't want to win the lotto or the lottery is here. You will encounter a lot of being not lucky or unlucky in a sense here. What I mean, so one would think that winning the lotto means you have to be the luckiest person in the world, because of the odds of winning the lotto is very minuscule in terms of, less than 0.000, a lot of zeros, right? I think hundreds or thousands of zeros, very long zeros to consider for you to get the chance of winning. In the case of Andrew Jackson, well, not so lucky, because he encountered several robberies and a casino lawsuit here. So let's see here. Where was this? There you go. So here you can see the photo of Mr. Andrew Jackson here. In 2002, West Virginia building contractor Andrew Jackson Whitaker Jr. walked away with $100 million after taxes of winning $315 million here in a Powerball draw. Now think about it. If I had $100 million, despite the taxes after that, it should have been set you for life. If you didn't want to work, enjoy the rest of your lives. If you divvied up the money that you've accumulated, and I'm assuming he's in middle 40s and so forth, so assuming you get to live another 40-50 years, divide the amount of money you have a disposable income of around $2 million a year, and for about a month you have a few hundred thousands to spend and live comfortably for the rest of your life. And that's the one thing that many of the winners don't realize, that no matter how small or how big the amount that you may win, it can just all go away in a span of maybe days, weeks, months, or even years, but it will not last forever. And not thinking that way can have this false sense of security for many people, as I've showcased here, and I've only selected only 5 stories here. But in this article here, you can check it out. I'll leave the link in the description below, that there are 20 stories here, and I'm sure there are many more out there worldwide, not just in the United States, but here in our country, that where the money that they've won, they have wasted, or gone into debt, and in this instance. So let's take a closer look on what happened to Mr. Andrew here. Anyway, so one would think that this was a good fortune for him, right? But things turned sour immediately, where thieves ran off half a bill, half 500,000, $500,000 worth, when he stashed it in his car way back in 2003. Now, who would stash a large sum of money in their car? It's a very not a smart person here. Why would you? It would be understandable if you were stash a few $1,000s here, $100 here, for short change, but not a large sums of money. There's a bank you can store your money, and that's not the only lesson. He didn't quickly learn his lesson, because it happened again for a second time, wherein he lost 200,000 the same way a year later, which is, you just threw away close to $1 million because of negligence of leaving money in the car. It's as if you left money at the doorstep so that people could just steal it away. And that's not the end of his luck. When it ran out, he was sued by Caesars Atlantic City when Whitaker had bounced 1.5 million checks. So again, spending excessively, thinking because you already have a large sums of money here. What's interesting, that within 4 years, so 4 years, his fortune was reportedly gone here. And if you were to, I think if we were to do some digging here and looking at the other cases here, I think there's one case in this particular article here that there's only one person that lasted for 10 years, but that's only 10 years. So meaning there's very few and no one, I mean, no one in this case that came out ahead in terms of being able to live a comfortable and enjoyable life. So meaning, is the intention of winning the lotto really that noble in a sense? Giving people that false sense of hope of getting this windfall, and yet it never gets the positive outcome that it's supposed to, to achieve here. And that's why I'm sharing it to everyone, thinking that, for the vast majority of us, especially the less fortunate, under the poverty, the people who can afford, a decent house, don't have a job, thinking that the solution is winning the lotto here. But at the end of the day, if you don't have this mindset of how to take care of yourself, be sustainable in the short run and in the long run, then these things will always happen. And it's kind of sad, and it's a stark reality that the lotto is not the answer to everything. Question is, what is the answer to everything? Is the question that every one of us has to answer here. Anyway, I think that's it for today. Come back again on Monday for more Monday checklist. So we can discuss other things, other topics on this channel. Anyway, if you enjoyed watching this video, don't forget to hit the like and subscribe button, or you can check out my other videos, Business Update as well as Business Focus Live on Fridays here. As always, I'll see you in the next one. Take care.